Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and it is Saturday, December the 15th, 2018, and I'm with BZ Rieger and Lisa Flamino Rush, my good friends. We haven't been together in over a week, I think, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, at any rate, we're going to have a conversation that I'm not sure that the little being in the chair is all that happy about on this for me. Well, I know, no, I'm not. I am happy. I just Lisa picked this one, and her team actually picked this one, and I think it was for me. Are you participating in your personal evolution, in yourself, for yourself, by yourself? I mean, that theme of knowing, for me, what's going on here regarding ascension, the embodiment process that we're all going through.
Mm-hmm.
This has been coming up for me quite a bit over the last, I don't know, well, ever since Thanksgiving, actually, is the energetic that while we are a collective, absolutely on one level, this is why this beginning to expand my consciousness into being able to really comprehend the levels of our multidimensionality has been very helpful to me. So while on one hand I am aware and can feel myself as being part of a collective, also because of what we're trying to do here in evolving, doing our embodiment processes in community consciously with others is what Lisa and I are trying to do. So I'm very aware of being in a collective on several different levels, different collective levels. But since Thanksgiving, I also have been feeling the energetic of not just self, but this embodiment process is a lonesome gig in one way, because it is me with me and just me, just my perception with my perception filters, my physical vessel, and a lot of what I pull in, what happens here as I am having more of me come into me, that in itself is a solitary gig. And so the in yourself, for yourself, and by yourself, I've been feeling that on a lot of other different layers too. And so feeling into that and just allowing it, because at first blush for me, because of my process of being a little bit cerebral, I guess you could call it, just allowing it and not freaking out because I feel so alone in the process, even though I'm not. You see what I mean? So feeling all of that, I mean, I feel that, and I see I'm feeling all the layers in that, and I feel like it sort of applies there. In regards to the participating, that feels like a lot of layers too to me, and some that I haven't been participating in quite, I guess, hence my trepidation about this conversation.
Yeah, mine too. Because, I have to say, I'd like to tell you that I've been participating. Oh, and recently it's kind of been pointed out to me that not a whole lot of participating.
Can't imagine.
A lot of that was a bit of an intellectual exercise on my part, as I wasn't really participating, but thinking, yeah, that's right, and then not really. doing anything about that. Or actually, this is so embarrassing. I thought I was doing something about it. I mean, I really thought I was participating, and it's funny now. Okay, we'll laugh. It's funny, really. I thought I was doing it. Because again, it's like that meditation thing, or the being spiritual, being my ion presence. It was for on Tuesday at 5, living it and embodying it is something completely different.
That's
And the more that I do participate, the more I see the lack of participation. If that makes any sense at all.
Perfect sense.
So I get that this is a very big subject, and also the for yourself, by yourself, with yourself, it's all about me kind of thing is also heavy. It's delightful, because it's all about me, but it's also all about me. So it begins and it ends right here.
Right.
And I'm just really beginning to see how much I have been looking over there. Anywhere that projects from in here to and to turn that around is really a big deal, and it's been a bigger deal than I anticipated, frankly. So yeah, this is a good topic.
Would you be willing to share who's been pointing that out? You said that it's been pointed out to you. Who would you be willing to share?
My team. This is my guy.
Which would
these are friends in high places. No, I'm kidding. Actually, well, so some of these actually are other embodiments who are in societies that are doing things that I wish to do. And I've reached out for guidance. And so that's what I'm getting. I'm getting guidance from my team. So it's great, my greater being and other.
So just so it's really clear for people in a linear-esque way.
Okay.
The title is Are You, capital Y-O-U. So in those two parts of the title I just read, is there a word that would describe who gave you this information?
Yeah, they're all embodiments of me.
Right, so
it's me. I'm only communing with all the other parts of me.
Right. So, yes. So what Lisa's saying is, are you participating with you? And in using that phrase, the you told her,
Yes, that's exactly right. And you can see why. I am holding things in a lot of different ways as though things aren't me, even though I know intellectually everything is me. The bottom line, I don't, and this is again with the cognitive dissonance for me personally, is I'm saying that I believe this, but I'm not really believing it, in that I'm not acting as though it were real in some ways. So, yeah. So myself has been pointing out to myself all the many ways I've been missing myself.
So in yourself, for yourself, and by yourself is not quite part of the process yet?
What do you mean?
Well, you said you're putting it as outside of you.
Yeah.
And because that's a way to make it, it's outside of me. So either it's smarter, better, greater, bigger, or it's not me, and what the hell do they know what they're talking about in case it's wrong, right? I mean, this way you can hedge your bets on all different perspectives, right?
Yes. And I think I was hedging my bets in favor of your opinion versus anything that came from me, to be brutally honest. I was shocked to realize how strong that was.
Right.
Honestly.
So drop the R off of what you said, and you got it right.
What?
You said your. I was hedging my bets in right, and you just said in your opinion. So I said drop the R, and you got it perfect.
Right. No contraction there.
Right. And so the you is you. That's what I'm trying to point out.
Yes.
That you is the ubiquitous you, and you just keep pointing it at yourself. It's you. You, my team. As you, right. The way you hold it is all you.
Yes. Yes.
So what does that feel like to acknowledge that on camera and give voice to it, and then start to feel into playing with that?
Really good, actually. I've been playing with it a lot by myself in the silence of just me. But I think that this is going to be happening for not just me.
Right.
And so I see the benefit of sharing what is happening to me. And I'm also a bit like Sheila in that I work things out through speaking as well. So sometimes I have been able to hear myself work through a problem and solve it, right? Right there, just like I didn't understand it going in, but allowing myself to give voice to what is, wanting to come through me. If I listen, I will oftentimes learn from it. So I welcome all of this because this is what's happening now. And, I avoided it and ran from it for a pretty long time, and it didn't really serve, anything other than to just keep me facing the wrong direction and having the onslaught of how, what will it take? And now I'm just like, oh, it doesn't have to take anything because I'm going to embrace this process. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And thank you for the list because that was great.
And it's funny that you picked the one that you weren't even looking at.
Well, that's the beauty of me. I am really patient, and I will show me again and again and again and again, which is lovely.
So I just want to clarify that for people here, because this is something that they might see if there's a reflection with themselves. So this is the list currently that we're talking about. And so we were having a conversation, looking at the different things. And so Lisa looked at a bunch of things, and somewhere around here, one popped out at her, and one here and one here. And Sheila talked about a couple things, and Sheila said, well, so which one do you want to do, Bees? And I said, well, I think Lisa's got one she wants to. So she's looking back up in this area again, kind of wrestling with it. And I said, well, why don't you have the team pick one? And so the team actually looked right down here, and Lisa was looking back up here. The team looked right back down here, and Lisa's looking up here. Anyways, and the third time that the team looked back down here, Lisa said, well, it highlighted it for me 3 times, so I guess I have to pick this one. So I just want to point out, because that's you.
Yes.
And in the end part of the title, in yourself, for yourself, by yourself. So if you think of just that part of the title, there's actually a lot of different levels and layers aspects, you could walk around each one in yourself and by yourself and for yourself, all different angles of that. Just in feeling it and playing with that will reveal a tremendous amount of information and data and gifts and magic and, just as a few ways to describe it, of what's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people, you guys have both said it a lot yourselves, and it's a very common refrain. Well, I'm all by myself, or I'm all alone, or I feel alone, or I don't have anyone to talk to, or I don't have anything to do with this. And you can do it. They might point to Lisa or Sheila because they're together, or this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, there isn't anything inaccurate about the fact that they're together or they're doing this, or that's fine. But it doesn't take away the one key component, that it's in yourself, by yourself, and for yourself. That you have to be with you as you do this, with you, for you, by you, and you do it. Because wherever you go, there you are. And yep. There's only one of you. So, see, so there's lots of different levels and layers.
Yeah.
And there's an unlimited myriad of you in your multidimensionality for doing it. So you're all of yous are imploding into you, reintegrating into you, coalescing back into you. And you in the shirt is here, and it's just you trying to figure this out, how to make sense of it. What do I do? Am I imagining it? Where can I look outside of myself to get something, to have the steps, the manual, what to do? And then the last part is that the new you, or the trinity that comes, is the you that really is coming forth and blooming. And that's you. And so you get to meet you again, and for the very first time, all at once. Again, on multiple different levels and layers. Because you meet yourself in the shirt, oftentimes it feels like for the very first time. Right?
Yeah. I don't know if this applies in this conversation or not, but it's come up several times for me in regards to death and rebirth, and death and rebirth, and death and rebirth, and death and rebirth, and death and rebirth. And I cannot tell you how many iterations of me that I feel I have been through in just the last, well, just the last year even. But I mean, for me, it goes back farther than that. I'm sure it does for everyone as we grow as people. But some of these iterations feel, especially now for me, it's like getting to know oneself on a level that I've never allowed myself to delve deep enough to find. And it's like energetically, we have written ourselves a permission slip to do this. And so I'm beckoned to say that because I feel as though maybe some folks don't feel that, but the evolution process does it for me. It I can see that is what that feeling is about. That's that. So when people say, well, I'm not the same person I was then, that's what that is. That's a part of that evolution. All I can say about this, for me, this entire conversation is, I know the more I participate, the more intently I participate, the more comes in, the more I can see that it's happening. But for me personally, I felt like this is such a multi-layered thing. I had to respect myself enough to allow myself to take a pause at first for me, when, and then I had to respect myself and love myself enough to give myself some credit for some of the things that I was looking at as like all wrong, and I shouldn't have been doing it this way, and because that's just what I thought. But when I really accepted a lot of what I now feel is just the way I go about things, my participation actually has increased. So I'm beckoned to say that because it is so individual. I mean, it really is so individual. Any one of us, the three of us, anybody else out there in the spiritual communities or whatever that has a specific way that they did this and that or the other, some of it might work for any one number of us. But we have to relax a little bit and allow some of what our own natural, and some of it, might have had some programming and conditioning along with it, but not all of it has. There's some natural abilities in there that either get enhanced or diminished depending on how a person gets developed. But allowing them to just show you, because I really do feel what I've seen on myself lately is that if I'm allowing and I'm willing to look deeply at all that comes up, I will see very clearly stuff, because it's not like I have to really look the other way and do this or go la 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 in order to miss it, because it's right there. It might not be pretty, I might not like what I'm seeing or feeling, but it's there. And I think that's the energy. So I felt beckoned to say that about this.
I wanted to, I'm not going to do them all in the right order because there's a piece of this and a piece of that piece of something. I want to make sure to highlight some of the pieces that you just brought out because they're really important. And they all deal with the word, phrase, subject, however you want to describe it, which is capital Y-O-U. So whoever is looking at themselves and saying the word you, so me, you, right? You, all the yous, right? This is for each one. So they're not necessarily in the different, they're all kind of connected. So you talked about how you gave yourself permission for you to do this, right? And then you talked about how there were different times when you may not have done it right, or you were focusing over here or doing something else. And I wanted to point it out because just as you describe yourself as a puzzle piece collector, or I talk about dots highlighting, right? If you think for a moment, just with what Sheila said as an example for herself, that, well, I kind of did these places and I may have gone the wrong way or done it wrong. No, for you, the way that you did it, you needed to see those dots, have them light up for you, or puzzle pieces in your vernacular, right? Because you shifted, expanded, changed, let go of, in various different, all of those things, some of those things, and some simultaneously and some concurrently, right? And some in a linear fashion to get for shifting. So you needed to take on this coat and this coat and this coat of this, take off this shirt, take off the shorts, right? And have the different configurations for you to get to the different places to grab those different puzzle pieces that were perfect for you to unfold the you-ness in what you're doing for you. Yep. And the other point too is that you talked about how whether it's any of the three of us, or you read different things or experience different things, or there's different teachers out there, whatever it is, and they're explaining or they're talking about a specific thing that they did. And sometimes, and I'm paraphrasing, sometimes, people have the propensity to kind of take that on as, oh, well, okay, you got to do X and then Y and then Z with the dash of, and a soupçon of, F and P and Q, right? And what jumped into what I was feeling there is, but when you're looking at it as a creator being, which you are, we may need to put this on pause. Can we pause?
Sure. Okay, so we're back.
As I was saying, I think. So we were talking about how the, of course, nobody else has a gap except for me. But if you're, looking at, listening to different beings and stuff, that using that as a step, or you have to do it this way, or there was their experience, and so you're thinking, oh, well, that's their experience, and gee, I'm in tune with them, and I think they got it all going on, and so it must be the way that I have to do it. So I'm just kind of setting it up that way. And what I wanted to highlight, the note that I wrote down, is that when you encounter that, connect with that as a creator being, then you're using, what I would give a term of your jumping off point. So a creator being's jumping off point. And when they say or relate or experience or a tool or whatever it is, something for you, and you meet that, and then you go, oh, I got it. That's it. It doesn't mean, if this is what they're talking about or they're showing you, right? It doesn't mean that this is it. It means that you and your creator beingness looked at in their creator beingness thing. So you're both kind of viewing this thing. But for you, this is, 8 feet long and has feathers and all these kinds of things. And it's the perfect, carpet that you ride on, and you take a feather and you can do this with. So that's what I'm saying. When you hold it in that way, then you're doing it for you, with you as the expert. And there was one other thing, but it's popped out of my head. So sorry about that.
Well, the biggest thing for me in all of that was, again, learning to trust me.
Right.
Because I thought I had, and to some degree, I can see that I trust myself only as far as I might be able to throw myself. So, I mean, I'm working on trusting myself 100. I'm almost there, I feel like, but because I'm expanding, I think that it's not a, sorry, there's not an end goal. So I know that, I do know that it's not an end goal. It's an incremental thing, and because as my consciousness expands, there will be more trust required as that consciousness expands. I'm aware of that as well. I do feel, however, that the more I trust myself in regards to what comes in, the process, all of that, it does feel I'm being rewarded in ways I never would have guessed. In other words, a lot of them the rewards have been the gift of sight, actually, to see some of the stuff that I've had a hard time seeing. Again, not all of it, all that entirely pleasant, but also not nearly as tough to work through either as, oh, I see, okay, I see where that's, oh, and that caused, oh, you know, and the way that you said something, Lisa, too, that jogged for me in regards to it when you were talking about the fact that sometimes when you speak a thing out loud, it helps you work through a thing too. I feel like, and this also relates to what you said, BZ, about not having someone, right? I have noticed that Lisa doesn't even really have to be there. Albert didn't really have to be in this room. I spoke it. Nobody actually had to hear it because Albert didn't say a word. Nobody said a word to me. I was talking and I saw it. Nobody said anything to me to jog it in there or anything. The little me was talking, and all of a sudden I just, the little me saw what I was looking at for myself. So I would say that once a person figures out their process, and that means relaxing into and just allowing all of whatever, for me, whatever you sort of look at as that might appear to others in their perception as something not to do.
And for them, for them, which is their you, that could be absolutely correct or kind of correct with this twist or that twist. Or that's what I'm saying. Since you are the expert for you, you know, and those, so if someone is looking at you and thinking about how to do this, you could be ingredients in a whole large pantry and they choose from it. Maybe that one of the ingredients that you've just talked about, they just take the lid off and now they're surfing on the lid. And they leave whatever the container was and what's in the container on the shelf. Because, man, this surfing lid is like just what they needed. It was the tool and the ingredient in the recipe, right? So that's how it works. You also said, I remember the other thing I was going to talk about, when you mentioned just now, Sheila, the importance of that. That's why I call it giving voice to. Because you give voice to in a group, you give voice to in the energetic envelope of the all, you give voice to your own in the shirt, in the house, wherever you are, your physical ears, and you are toning in that. There's a whole vibrational frequency, just like if you played the keys on a piano or strum the chords on a guitar, right? there's a whole frequency vibrational arpeggio that you're going through as you give voice to it, as you tone it. And yes, there can be someone else there or not. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yep.
Right. But the integral component, the most important part of that instrument is the you part. Yep. And the you giving voice to it part.
Right.
And then Lisa, the one I remember from before, Lisa, you had said when we began the conversation, I realized, and this is paraphrasing, I realized that I thought I was participating and it seemed like I was participating, but there were different parts of me that was thinking of that, and then other parts of me that were saying, no, I really wasn't doing that. And so one of the things I just wanted to throw out there, because this is what came up for me to give voice to, is that one way that might be interesting or helpful to play with that is there's the you when you arrived in this embodiment, however long ago that was, for each of the yous, right? You could also say, because Sheila said, well, she's discovering who she is again and again and again and again. So it could be that when you first got here, it could be the old you, right? You know, what the old me used to do, you know, that's kind of a turn of phrase, right? Then it could be the part of the you that I hid from myself, or that was hidden or felt that it needed to hide. So again, that's a bunch of different perspectives, different depending on what your scenario was. The you that you are now, the new you. So if you're thinking of expanding, or you're thinking of changing, or you're here as the you now, and then you're reflecting on something else, so then you would be the new you, which again is another expansion, or the becoming you, which is really that trinity of the new being that's created. And that's really just from mostly a linear perspective. So you can see, right, all the facets of you, and then that isn't even, as Lisa talked about, the team, okay? And so Lisa could say, yeah, meet the team. This is this one and this one and this one and this one, all you, right? So now I let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just on the linear, and that was just off the top of my head without really thinking about it. And then you got, you know, can you give us a sense how many are on, when you refer to the team, how many are on the team? Is there a number?
Actually, the Fab Five.
Okay. Okay, so we got 11, right? So we got 11 right there. Right? The magical power number of 11. So this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of components to this, and they're all you.
Yes.
And no one can do it for you. And you must do it within yourself, by yourself. You could hold that. And again, how you hold that, and depending around which one of you is holding how you're holding that, one could be feeling stuck or small. Well, I have to do it all by myself. I'm all by myself. Or I'm all by myself, and by myself, I become me. Aww. So there's a lot of power in that. Again, it's so when you give voice to this and you play with it, like I said, just the last part of this title, there is such richness here to mine for you, for yourself, and yours will be unique to you. There may be similarities, there may be some overlaps, there may be some jumping off points, right? There may be totally different shapes, sizes, colors, animals, however you want to hold it. But it's you, and you're doing it. So it's perfect for you.
Yeah, I wanted to say, in regards to being by oneself. We are, Lisa and I are doing this in community in a conscious fashion. And yet, this is why I feel this is important to say. And yet, I am very aware that it is a solitary gig. I didn't think, honestly, I really, because it came up for me beginning the Thanksgiving weekend. Lisa was gone, and I was having these thoughts and feelings wash over me, and this aloneness. As I said, I was here that entire time by myself, and I realized it doesn't, like you said, wherever I go, there I am. So I better start liking me, because honestly, that's how this is,
Yeah.
and the end result, for one thing, and secondly, it is totally an inside job, and I just was surprised. First of all, I'll just say that feeling of, yes, it's great and it's nice having Lisa here, but I also recognize very keenly, I'll say it like that this is something that only I can do on my own, for myself. And make no mistake, when I say for myself,
right,
I had to, like I said, I had to give myself permission, first of all, to do this. All of what I'm doing. I was going to say we're doing, but that's not so. It's all of what I am doing.
mm-hmm.
And to be clear, so no one is under any false ideas here, before Lisa came along, I stood in this backyard on my own and said, I will be in community with folks. And before that year was out, I was in community, and I was remarking about the fact that the community hadn't come in the way I thought it was going to, but it was still community. It was over the internet, it was the campfire chat, and it was community. And I recognized that I created that. And when I didn't feel drawn to that venue anymore, that entire little thing kind of went away. Again, I was the creator. I withdrew my energy and it went away. That too, I didn't get it at that point, the depth of all of that. So I guess I'm just saying that in this moment, I'm seeing that the more I participate and the more I allow myself to step into that sovereignty and really know that I am creator, not a creator, pure and simple, all the way through. And that it is actually the ultimate solitary gig when you get right down to it. Because you guys are all just pieces of me too.
There's only one.
There's only one. So
wow. Which is really, really crowded or no thingness. Depending on how you hold it.
Right. And all of those steps in between.
That's right.
And that is such a beautiful thing.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really been the most of it has been the allowing of and this is the hardest thing, I think, that it has been for everyone, because of the connotations of the word love. but I finally love myself enough to allow myself to experience the wonder and the beauty of what this actually is that's taking place. So
that's what we're all doing. That's why we need to participate in our personal evolution.
because that's what this is. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a fast tracking. It's the words I'm about to use are very linear and very pale and wholly inaccurate descriptions, but it's the best I have right at this moment. So we're fast tracking. We're taking quantum leaps. We are changing absolutely everything in all of our bodies, in all of our systems, in all of our structures, in all of our capacities, communications, capabilities. And we are multidimensional so that everything that we do, I like using the you better because people can hold it and see as an individual, and there's importance to the image. So everything that you do on all of your multidimensionality. So all of your aspects of you, all of your layers and levels and frequencies, dimensional bandwidth, densities, you shift all of that. And since you are one, you change that for all. Now, as you're holding it as all of these different myriad, multiple, unenumerable beings out there in existence are doing that, well, then that's a hell of a lot of expansion, right? Because if each one is doing that and doing that and doing that, right? And there's only one, then the one is going forth to know self as self, right? And expansion in that, then there's untold, unlimited, eternal expansion, which is why there really is no beginning and no ending. There is only all that is, and another way, again, these are all very linear, inaccurate, pale words to describe it. There is no thingness as well and at the same time as all. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Does to me.
So only you can participate in your personal expansion. Only you can have that evolution occur now if you choose, or not now if you choose. And only you can do it in yourself, with yourself, and by yourself. Can there be other beings around you? Yeah, you bet. Can you co-create other beings? Yeah, you bet. Can you bounce ideas off or just look at a thing or as a creator being jump on and, take that tool that, someone just posted in a vlog or a YouTube or a tweet or a twit or a zip or zap or zoop zooey, right? And then jump on, yeah, you bet. And a combination of all those things. Think of tools in your toolbox or crayons in your box of crayons.
Yeah.
The common ingredient is you. And the ingredient that cannot be missing is you.
Yep. That's really why this is not a cookie cutter process. because the way I view it is that my perception filter, how I was programmed, conditioned, everything I've experienced in my 57 years leading to this moment of now, requires that this process be tailored to my perception filters and because especially in this moment of now, I can see very clearly where that higher aspect of me, my soul, knows everything I've experienced. And so all I had to do really is relax a little bit, open up. I started opening up, and that was great. But I kept holding it that I was doing stuff wrong, that I'm not connected, and all of these different things. And quite frankly, a lot about being in my head too. And I realized that it is a part of my process, and that there are portions of smarmy that still are there. I know this, but there's a great goobs of my lower mind and higher mind that has already fused. And for me, I feel now I'm holding it in this way, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't feel that. I also feel like that might be partly where I was holding that I was just thinking things, when that is indeed where my connection was. So I was holding that. Some of it was ego, and it comes off like ego sometimes because of some shields that I've had up all my life due to weight and all these other kinds of things that I've experienced. Again, those perception filters and my own experiences. So I guess this is a really long way of going about saying, take a look at what you may be criticizing about yourself, because it might be the very thing that is your particular process, that allowing some relaxing and just feeling into and experimenting with and trusting that process may show you a thing or two, because it sure has shown me a thing or two.
Well, that's where love absolute comes in, because when you love you, you love you.
And all of you.
Right. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything right. You're not getting it wrong. You're not getting it right. You're not expanding in the right color or the wrong color. You love you. Period. Full stop. Complete thought.
Well, I really was holding a lot of things out here saying, oh, well, I'm doing this wrong and I'm doing that wrong and I don't get it and all that sort of thing. But since I've kind of let go of a lot of that and it's okay, and allowed it to just reveal itself to me without holding anything or saying even, oh, well, that's my head, that's this, or that's that, and just allowing it to come in.
And you revealing you to you.
Right. That's pretty much exactly.
And all those different yous that I talked about, that I was jotting down from what Lisa was talking about, so you're meeting you, if you want to hold it as a linear you that was, before this or after this, however, doesn't matter. They're all you. They're all vital. They're all important. And, as the title says, are you participating in your personal evolution, in yourself, for yourself, by yourself? So all the cells that are you and you're coming to, that's the holding. So all of those different cells, which are you, are all coming together. They're all integrating. So the seen and the unseen yous, this dimension you and that dimension you and this embodiment you and that non-embodiment you and this, two-dimensional thing that's you. So all of those aspects, you're not small, okay? So there's a whole lot of you that is out there in all of you. And that's what you're doing, is you're holding, right? You know, if you've got clumps of, you ever made a pie crust and pieces of dough, you know, comes off and you go, I did it wrong, it's not right. And what do? You put all the dough back together carefully. You don't rework it too much, and you roll it gently, and there you got it. There, so all of those parts of you are holding into this beautiful recipe that is you in a multi-dimensional facet. So let's say if this is a pot, the crust that we're doing is the dough, it's, you know, a pie that sits on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, and beyond dimension, in form, in no thingness, in the etheric, in all of the other parts and aspects of all the other yous out there, then you're just maybe starting to sort of kind of describe you and what you're baking.
Yep.
And the fragrance and the aroma and the delicious texture and savoriness and the sweetness on your tongue and the little, you know, piquant flavors here of that fruit or this fruit or the spice or the creaminess of the ice cream or whipped cream or whatever it is, you know. All of that goes with this, and all of that is what you're in the process of creating and serving up and enjoying and recreating and enjoying again, over and over and over again. And only you can do it, because you've got to be there to be savoring it and being savored all at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ladies.
And love is the bowl, the spoon, the spatula, the ingredients, the oven, the fork, the plate, and the yum that holds it all together.
I still feel very clearly that I don't know, the love word is so, it's been, and it's, I realized that it was done on purpose, and for all sorts of myriads of reasons, including the fact that each perception had to feel love in different sorts of ways, as that was part of whatever experience they sort of set up for themselves as they, you know, entered. I realized that all of that is just is. And so we talked once before, BZ. I think you stated that that is what that feeling for me of standing on the edge of forever was about.
A few shavings on the tip of the iceberg, yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to, for some reason, I felt compelled to say that. That's all I have on that. I felt compelled to say that because I know I say it all the time, but I feel that strongly in this conversation when you were saying that, love is that those portions that you were describing. And I know that that is so, but I also know that it is very few. I've heard folks describe what they're classifying as bliss. I enjoy the feelings that I have on a daily basis, but I'm also very clear that it's nowhere near what I experienced when I was sharing with everyone during those Facebook Lives that I was standing on the edge of forever. And so let me just say that for me is enough for me to continue to move forward. If that is just a shaving of what love absolute actually is, because it is nowhere near what I've heard described as bliss. Let me just say so.
Yeah, and those are all linear words, and
right, and I get
the
that.
moment you try to put a word to it, you just blew it all to hell.
Well, that's why I said that's the only way I could figure out how to describe what I was feeling.
Unfortunately, to define it is to limit it. So
right.
Well, I'm in agreement.
Right. I think I told the story once, and someone's asked me if I would record just that part. I may do it sometime, but I describe it as being in the palm of God's hand, which when I first described that, I thought the way I was brought up, to describe it that way was very limiting in a very programming conditioned way, but it was the truest, it was my way to describe of being on the edge of forever. And I gave of the dawn rolling in. Anyways, but everybody has their own thing, and they have and it's much more than that, but I'll say at least, because if I say at least one, then it's harder to argue with. At least one moment in their lives where they have experienced that in this lifetime. And it's the allowing part, to do that. So that's why, as you participate in you and your evolution, you beget more of you and all that comes with it. And you're not small, and you are magnificent. In fact, that is a pale and insubstantial and wholly inaccurate way to describe just exactly what you are. So you need to get over it.
Yeah, get over it soon, because I got a feeling that there's, well, I've been
that's a whole lot of other conversations.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, ladies, this has been an absolutely wonderful conversation, and it is huge. And I just wanted to make sure ask, I guess, to say, well, thank you both. Thank you, Lisa. Please feel the odd, because immediately when Lisa picked that one, I felt like it was my greater being that
Yeah, and I would like to say, when I say the phrase "thank you, Lisa," for choosing that, the you, when I say thank you, comma Lisa, right? The you has 52 million Y's and 50 million O's and 52 million U's. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the you that is Lisa that chose.
Yep. So, I'll not be sending all them thank you cards, though, I'll tell you that right. So would either one of you like to add, what'd you say, Lisa?
Right back at you.
So would either one of you like to add anything else to this energetic envelope?
No.
All right. Well, as always, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from anyone that would like to share what they feel about this conversation. Have you been participating in your own personal evolution? I don't know. Is there anything that you would like to add to this conversation, that you have a comment or a question about? You can do it in the comment section. You can email any one of us. All of our information will be in the show more section of this video. And until next time.
Much love.